top of the 5.7, Ghost number 1 for hip hop and R&B, home of the Breakfast Club, state champ DJ Frosty in the building with two very, very special guests, two guys that are extremely important to the city of Montgomery. On my right, I got my guy Bao, the world famous international engineer. On my left, I got my guy who's done tons of work for the city. He's the first person I really knew from Montgomery because he's been putting in work for decades.
Long time.
A long time. Frank White is in the building.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it. Frosty, thank you for having us. Definitely a pleasure.
So one of the first things I wanted to do when I first got here was get Frank White in the building.
Right.
That was like the first thing, because like I said, before I knew anything about Montgomery, I knew Frank White.
Right.
Frank White is who introduced me, well, not physically,
right,
but musically, to Doe B.
Right.
And so in this world, I look at a lot of DJs as my brother. You know, like that's my DJ family. Brother. We family. We go, you know what I mean? So when I see things, you know, that happens online and things like that, this doesn't seem in character of what I was introduced to. It makes me curious. What happened? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It almost felt like an entire city turned against somebody who did so much for the city. And now, you know, so to me, like, this had to be addressed. And Frank White, I felt like Frank White needed to get his story out, his side of the story.
Gotcha.
You know,
I appreciate that, bro, because a lot of people just, you know, aren't curious or don't really care to know what's going on or what happened, and they just, you know, tend to sweep it under the rug and go along with social media posts, which, as you know, and we all know, tend to get out of really what's not really going on. They tell to build, you know, legs of its own and carry on to other things that never even happened, possibly.
Right.
So, you know, and I just kind of, I felt, you know, like it turned its back on me, and I kind of just shut down, you know, I'd rather just shut down and step away from it for a second.
So I got my guys Twin Beats, and when I first started talking to them, they would always mention a guy named Bao. And other people would mention Bao, and like all the rap artists would mention Bao. So I'm like, who was Bao? I gotta get, well, Bao, he moved back home, he back in China. So I got word that Bao was back in town.
Right.
So I was like, I gotta get Bao in the studio. I gotta talk to this guy, because he's a legend.
Definitely.
You know what I'm saying?
Definitely.
I mean, both of y'all legends. But I was like, I never knew who Bao was.
Right.
So when I got Bao here, and I talked to Bao, he seemed like one of the most genuine guys I've ever met. Off top, I was like, this guy is genuine. You know what I mean? Not, you know, I don't know Bao's whole history, but he just came across as extremely genuine. And I was curious. He was the only person I really asked about between you and Doe B, because I knew he had real inside knowledge, information about what happened. So from what I understand, so let's go back, because this is December, right? It's December
every year.
And before we get into all that, I really want to know what did you do? How did you meet Doe B? Tell me the Doe B story of how this thing came into play.
Okay, I'll shorten it just for time purposes.
We know he was killing nights.
Right, on the radio. First of all, on the radio, doing mixtapes. You know, did 2 Chainz Codeine Cowboy mixtape. Did artist mixtapes from around the city. Did Rich Kids mixtape, a Trouble mixtape. I forget what else, but was doing major artist mixtapes as well through relationships I had through other DJs, like, you know, how we knew each other.
Right.
Because as you said, DJ is a brotherhood.
Right.
So we always like to help each other and never really fall out about anything. Never major a DJ to another DJ unless it's some real messed up stuff.
Right.
But so artists would come to me, hey Frank, can you do this mixtape? Can you, play my song on the radio, do this and that? And Doe came to me and was like, he wanted me to do his first mixtape.
Now, did you know Doe before he came to you?
No, I heard about him.
Okay.
And I want to say the first person that told me about Doe, and I'm not 100% sure on this, but I'm 98%, and it's rest in peace to Schoolie.
Oh, okay. 3X?
No, not Schoolie from here. Schoolie, he got party promoter from here. I think he was the first one because I was actually managing a group called Two Lanes at the time.
Mm-hmm.
They had a hot song called Logged In, and they had Dance With Me with DA on the hook. But this was, years ago. I think about 2010, 2011. So Doe came to me and wanted me to do his mixtape, but I had a studio on Carmichael Road, and somebody had broken my studio and took my keyboard, and somebody put it out there that Doe had something to do with it. So that kind of rubbed me the wrong way. So I kind of was like, dang, I don't want to. Yeah, you can stupid. But then he said, he didn't have nothing to do with it. I found out who ended up having something to do with it, but that's what happened. And then later on, about 6 months later, Big Hulk was with Doe then, and Doe was like, Hulk called me and was like, yo, Doe wants you to do this mixtape and he wants to work with you. Wow. And we went and met him. I went and met him over at Atmosphere, outside of Atmosphere. I don't know if Bao was there at the time, but we were outside of Atmosphere, me, Hulk, and Doe. And I agreed to do the first mixtape. And after we did that, he came right back and was like, okay, we got to do another one. And I didn't have any, ties. I was just like, yo, you're dope. All right, let's do it. After I realized the talent is when we did Definition of a Trapper 2, which was the second mixtape. I was like, yo, the first one was hard. This one's hard. And, I knew he had talent. So I was like, we want to keep doing these mixtapes and putting music out. Of course, I was playing songs on the radio too. I could play, not many DJs, as you know, could play what they want in their mix.
Right.
I was one of them that could play anything I wanted. If I wanted to play it 5 times in a row, my boss wouldn't say nothing. Shout out to Doughboy. I mean, he probably didn't like it, but he didn't.
Yeah, you had the green light.
Yeah, I had the green light. Yeah. So I was killing every remix. Doe do a Chief Keef remix. I was playing that, playing his stuff, so and so. Yeah. But we decided to do management on the after the second mixtape, which was Definition of a Trapper 2. Then Let Me Find Out came out then, and we started pushing. I told him, I said, that's a single there. He hated that song.
Wow.
And
see, that's what the DJs is for.
Yeah, no.
The DJ is for. I'm telling you.
And Bao can probably tell you he didn't really like that song. And the interesting thing, how that song, I'll let him tell you how it came about because I think he was at Bao's studio. But we did management right then, and my partner, I had a partner who worked with Interscope. He's actually at 300 now. I don't know if you know D, the Sunram, D and Shadow.
Oh, I know Shadow.
Okay, D, his partner. So they, I sent him the project, and he loved it, and was like, look, we want to do something with them, and we want to be partners with you in it. I was like, let's go ahead. Anything is, better than nothing. So we did that. They flew Doe to New York, and did a deal with Geffen, and we put Let Me Find Out, the original song was on BET Jams and was working before the remix came out. And then that's when the label kicked in and the T.I. stuff kicked in and all that. So that's kind of a background, basically. But it was a lot of, work. It wasn't as, just fall together like it did.
Yeah.
But it was special, and that's something that I could tell from the get-go, and I'm sure Bao could, and whoever who worked with Doe, you knew that this wasn't ordinary.
Right. Yeah, I agree.
And it's like, so everybody, just knew that and went really hard at what they were doing for him and to try to, get him to that next level.
Yeah. When I first got here, I went to a few clubs and I was hearing these Doe B records that I'd never heard before. What I do? I
Oh,
called
it's-
Frank.
yeah.
I called Frank. I said, Frank, what is this? Yo, like, why y'all put this out? Like, what is going on? This music is like, these are hits.
Right.
These are bona fide hit records.
Right.
So how did you and Bao meet?
Long time, because
But
he's
before
the man in he's the man in the studio to make them sound
Right.
like even now to this day, even of course as family people have disagreements and it happens. Even when we had disagreement or something, somebody asked me, where do I need to record it? Like the Bao's the only place that you're gonna get that you don't have to go nowhere else.
Right. Yeah.
That's the only place, and when he left, now I don't know where people are going now, but it's probably a void. But Bao has always had the best sound in the city from when he started. I think I met him at Atmosphere through another mutual friend who was a producer, Chasing Dreams, who worked with Small Time Ballers, did their certified album, and that's where we met, and we cool since. Always did different things.
Yeah, we were always cool. All the way through until Doe died.
All right, so let's get to this. Let's get right to this.
Go ahead.
All right, because this is crazy. Because I was told by so many people not to do this.
Okay.
So many people.
Yeah.
Over and over, and made me scared.
Really?
No.
You told me that. I saw you before.
Nah,
You mentioned that.
Yeah. So I was like, man, I gotta do it though.
Right.
Like I just like I believe the city need. I believe that how some people need closure.
Right.
I believe the city needs this for closure.
It's
Right.
long overdue.
It's long overdue. Getting y'all two guys together to come in here and talk this thing out, talk about what happened, the future, all that. I want to get into all that. So the day Doe B died, I've heard some rumors that I know they're not true. I don't believe it. I believe because I know you never. So I heard that T.I. wanted Doe B to go to Miami. Is that true?
That's
Is that accurate?
Yes.
But he decided to stay.
He was waiting on. I want to say he was waiting on Hulk. Hulk had to go with him the next day.
It's just like how Biggie died. It's almost like
Right.
Biggie, Puff didn't want him to go to. Anyway.
Right.
Tell me what happened that day, because I heard you was in bed sleep or something like
Right.
that. So
Right.
go through that day. Tell me about this day.
Okay. The day of, which is, I forgot what trip he just got back from, but I think it was from Arkansas, I believe. And we rented a minivan for him to go to Arkansas, and I believe I rented it in my debit card or something. And or we went somewhere, but I know I was in the car at one point, but then I wasn't on the trip. Anyway, we got back, and when they turned the car in, they charged for like I think it was $200 smoking fee. Okay, this was the 27th, because it happened the 28th at 2 in the morning. So this was in the morning. Doe calls me. He's like, "Man, why you take this smoking money out of his show?" I was like, "Bro, I didn't smoke in there. Why am I?" And he was like, "Man, nah, because you smoked in it too," which I don't believe I did, but hey, I could have at first, but other people did after that.
Right.
But I was like, "Bro, are you really calling me about this?" I think it was $100 or $150. Are you really? I said, "Come by the apartment, come get it." He's like, "All right, man." And that's the last thing I ever talked to him. That was my last time talking to him. And that was in the day, that day. Then I got a call that night and got woken up because I had my kids, so they were with me, so I wasn't going out anyway. And I didn't know he was going to the club or nothing like that. I got woken up and somebody said that he just got shot, and I was like, "Nah, you probably heard something, it's a rumor."
Right.
So I immediately hung up, like, nah, I kind of paid it no attention, but then my phone rang right back again. It's like, "No, the shooting just happened at the Rose. I think Doe was shot." Like, "You think he was shot?" And then I got another call. And when I found out that he had got shot, somebody told me that they saw him in the ambulance and he just got shot in his leg. So like, okay, well, pray and hope, thinking.
Right.
But I jumped in my car. I was staying on Vaughn Road, and I sped to the because I found out that they wasn't taking him to Jackson, and Jackson was like less than a mile away from the Rose hospital, less than a mile away, and they made him go to Baptist South, which is farther. So I don't know who I called to see where they were going, but they told me they were going to Baptist South. And then I pulled up into the where the ambulance was in the emergency room parking, like they just unloaded. I was like, yo, you just have a big dude with an eye patch. It's like, you got to go around. So I went around and was walking in. And as soon as I was walking in, his sister comes out crying and say he's gone. And then, I went in and because I kind of didn't, believe it really, like, that. So I went in and saw his mom and the rest of the family in the waiting room, and I just, I sat on the floor and I had to make some calls and let people know what had just happened.
So why did he decide to not go to Miami?
Doe was thoughtful, and sometimes he didn't really focus on his best interests, I think. And he cared a lot about his friends and people around him. And he was 22. He didn't want to go off down, without somebody or his friends, his homeboys going with him. So I think that, that's what happened. He just, wasn't thinking about the smartest move at the time.
Okay. So Doe B dies. Where does the rift come between y'all two?
I don't even know where it started, man, but I remember, I ain't gonna repeat what you said at the hospital, but when Frank said something at the hospital, it kind of disturbed me a little bit, you know what I'm saying? He probably doesn't even remember what he said, but I don't want to say that right now. And I was a little bothered by that.
Were you at the hospital?
Yeah, I pulled up.
Did you?
Later on, cause like Carlton called me first in the middle of the night, and he's called me before. He's like, before it was like the time he's called me, he's like, Doe's been missing. You gotta go find him, or whatever. And I was like, well, he's probably moving around somewhere. But like Carlton called me this time, like he's gone, and I was like, man, you lied. So and then you called me, you confirmed it, and so I went down there, and then I saw you and. Saw Dariana and Tamara, and but anyway, that was that. It was just a lot of mess then, and then maybe a couple of days later, you call me with Tip on the phone, and then that's that with that. The thing with Tip on the phone, like I wasn't in the business mode. You feel what I'm saying? Cause like we all took a loss, and personally, like. You spend a lot of time with a person inside of the studio.
Yeah.
So you get to know them, all that type of stuff.
How long were you working with Doe? Like, how long did you know Doe before?
I knew him for a while. Like, he came in with Perry Boy a long time ago in Atmosphere. That might have been 2008.
Okay.
And, I did some work for him then.
Yeah.
And I liked his stuff then. It's real monotone. I think I said it before. And then he came back, like, 2010 with Miss Shine and recorded something, and he said, I'm gonna record it here, and this is like right after Purple Rain with LP Monte, because his studio got broken into and got stolen, whatever. So we came in and started recording the DO18-1, and then the rest is history. But the thing was, like, Tip was saying some things like it's real questionable, you know what I'm saying? But I could understand now, because he was trying to get the music and get stuff done, but like he was saying, like, and I'm just go ahead and say it. He asked me, like, how much would it cost for you to sleep well at night to get these sessions off your hands? And like, I was kind of blown back by that, you know what I'm saying? And then I had to ask Frank later on once we got the phone, like, did you hear what he just said? Like, and then we called D. And then, talked to D, and D was like, ain't nobody going, everything's fine, don't worry about it. just hold on to the sessions, blah, blah, this and that. So it was just a lot of stuff going on then. So it's like a lot of stuff where that's where it kind of started, you know what I'm saying? And then, you know, Frank was trying to get the stuff, and like, I didn't know what was going on. And, you know, we worked out something where we would do the Why song, which came out. I wanted to mix it, you feel what I'm saying? I wasn't looking for any monetary money off of it, but you know, I think it was not G, but the other dude, I forgot what his name was. Gene Nelson, right? Yeah, so he was met with them at the, you know, right after the funeral, before one of them nights or days. We met there and chopped it up about what was the deal with the session and stuff. And G seemed real cool, G Roberson. So, but anyway, it just started from there, man. And then it just kind of got wild, like really wild. What else happened after that? So, you know, then CBN wanted to do a full mixtape, and then, you know, Doe promised everybody that he wanted to release something in March 1st or April 1st, whatever one day that was, a DOAT3. But the process of how we would do it, like we would comb through stuff, and this is widely known, probably you see on other interviews, but you do a song and a hook, do a bunch of those songs, and then do about 50 of those, and then comb through the best 15, 17, 20, and then take verses from the other stuff that didn't make it and make a complete song and finish it up. You know what I'm saying? So I wanted to do that process of DOAT3, but never got a chance to do that. And then there was like a long email thread between me and Frank and Greg Calloway, and I think D as well, about what was going on, and some words said there. So it just got separated more and more and more and more. So the project came out, DOAT3. It did, you know, fairly well. Sonically, I didn't like it, you know what I'm saying? And it is what it is, but that's just me being an engineer. But that was that. CBM drops, and then something happens. The court awards Kenny, Doe's dad, the administration, and then I hand over the sessions.
So from that point to the time you handed over the sessions, about how long was
That's
this?
like 3-4 months.
3-4 months.
From
Okay.
like I said, and this is end of December, all the way to about, he got awarded the administration in May of 2000. Was that 14?
Yeah, 14.
Yeah, so it's like 3-4 months. It just got crazy right then and there. So that's, you know, that's where it kind of started, and it just got worse from there.
Is there anything you remember specifically that kind of put you over the edge? Like, you know what, I don't rock with this guy no more. You know.
There's some things he said, man, like
You gotta
said
say
stuff about my family. Like I can't say it on like radio, like, you know, because of like, you know what I'm saying. But it's like a lot of racial slur.
Okay,
you probably don't even remember, man, because like.
But what was it over though? What was the issue?
It was over the dope. Okay, so it got worse, like really worse, towards the end of 2014. Cause like Kenny came to me like top of December. Was like, hey man, we want to put something out on Doe. You know, I got the and who was the lawyer then? I can't remember.
I forgot his name.
Yeah,
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. I forgot the lawyer's name.
But Kenny also ended up getting removed from it, and
the thing was, I didn't know he was removed by then.
Yeah. Yeah.
In December of 2014.
Yeah, he got removed, and because he did something he wasn't supposed to.
Yeah. So all right. So like Kenny comes to me like, we'll put a song together. Like, you know, what you think about Frank? I was like, and so he misinterpreted what I said or miscommuted what I said to Frank, and this what really got, you know, separated the water in the what I'm saying. So I say, well, you know, Frank was not really involved with the music side anyway, so like, you know, he don't have to do nothing on the music side. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Which is true. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'll be in the studio, cook up. Frank will go and do whatever he need to do to push the song, so, you know, get it connect. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. That was the truth.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Kenny goes to Frank, says something crazy, like just kind of over exaggerates, and then Frank texts me all this crazy stuff, man. Like it's real bad, man. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, and the thing was, it got into the hands of this guy named Red Beezy around that time, and I talked to him on the phone once, and like the lawyer for him and Kenny wanted me to oversee what Red Beezy was gonna do. And I was like, cool, fine, cause I was finna fly to London at the end of December. And I talked to him once on the phone, the dude Red Beezy, and then I didn't hear back from him. And then next year,
He got killed by his.
I don't think it was next year, but
Yeah.
like the next year, he put out the Ken Griffey Jr.
Oh
stuff.
yeah. This
And
was
that looked horrible.
It was terrible. Some artist in Atlanta that the lawyers over the state made a deal with to let him use those music, unfinished music, and put out. And of course, we went about crazy. You gotta understand, this stuff was very, like he says, was very personal. But me and Doe's relationship also started off business-wise as well. So our relationship started business and grew personal.
Right.
So when that happened, I was trying to think, personal and business-wise, but the personal things, it messed me up. I spazzed, and I said a lot of things to probably a few people that I shouldn't have said, and it was just out of frustration and angerment, and learned you can't act off emotion.
Right.
So that just kind of bridged the gap in between us, and then we always would try to somehow bring it together, but then it always I had to say something, or who knows what would.
And actually, that Red Beezy stuff brought us together.
Yeah.
Because like I couldn't take it, man. This was like a couple years later. It had been like 2016.
Yeah, I think so.
And I was like, man, you know what? That's it, man. Like we failed, and let this guy do it.
Right.
And it was horrible.
Yeah.
Rest in peace, but it was horrible.
Right.
Like this, you don't do that. I mean, you go on in there, you look at it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, and like then Red Beezy start capping at Frank. You know what I'm saying? Like real hard.
Yeah.
About whatever.
Oh
You know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
talking about he's threatening and stuff because
So like the thing was like I couldn't really reach Frank at the time either because I wanted to patch it up and like let's go ahead and just figure this out. You know what I'm saying? So I do that. He wasn't really responding or responsive. So I called Dariana. I was like, hey man, you're gonna have to try to facilitate this and be in the middle. But act like Dariana's fiance right when he died. 2 kids by Doe. So I was like, you gotta talk to Frank, but act like you setting it up. You feel what I'm saying? And so we did. We met at the Panera Bread, and then Carlton was there. Carlton Banks was there, and we patched it up. Right. It was a little rift then, but we patched it up. You know what I'm saying? So proceeding on to trying to put this together, and I was hopeful, you know what I'm saying? We were all hopeful. And then it got crazy again.
Is that right?
Let's see, but this is the time where you capped that tip this time.
Yeah, we gotta talk about that because the world was watching. Like I'm seeing my Twitter, and I see Frank White and T.I. going there. I guess it had to do with the money. You was managing his son.
Yeah, I was, but it wasn't really about that. But I believe that's what, basically.
Okay.
But we can get into it.
I mean, you gotta lay it out. That happened, you know what I'm saying? It was a real thing. But so like we were trying to put the album together around that time, and that damaged some things. You feel what I'm saying? Like Carlton, much respect to Carlton. He put his work in. Like he was getting features, stuff like that. He, got some features. I ain't gonna name him right now, but hopefully it'll be on the album. Anyway, Carlton did his thing. You feel what I'm saying? Like whatever he needed to do, I did my thing. We put a lot of work into it. We sent stuff to Frank to get features for, and around that time when that happened, it just made it difficult to get anybody else on board from the industry. And like how this business is, like they turn on your back real quick, over whatever, you know. So it didn't pan out, and then, you know, a lot of other issues, you know what I'm saying, and I go ahead and talk about it. Forget it. It's like we're not supposed to take any money, you feel what I'm saying? And that was the agreement. We went up to the state, you know, met with Ed Parrish, and, you know, we thought the other lawyer that was working with Kenny, and we thought Kenny and the lawyer, they had the estate, but it ended up being Ed Parrish, who's administrative of a lot of other states.
Right, he's a probate judge. Is he a probate judge?
I don't know.
I don't know, but he's
But he's the guy.
Right.
So we were bamboozled for about a month. Go over there and talk to him, and there's some issues there, and started falling out again over, you know, percentages or whatever like that. This is well documented out there too. So
Percentages to who?
well, it's originally supposed to be 0
Right. That's
to
what
everybody, right? And
Yes,
then
that's
I
what I'm trying to
wanted
figure out.
to, you know, me and Carlton, Frank wanted to give all to the estate.
Right.
But, you know, Frank was going through some things at the time. So remember, you was over there at that car lot, walked over to me, we started talking. Like, well, let's do 10 each. I was like, well.
Well, Ed said at first, we sat there and we said, look, we don't want nothing. And Ed was like, no, everybody has to get something in that meeting.
Right. I mean, he
and
said
like,
that, but I was still.
But see, and then I've also had would like to use a percentage to go to his mom and his kids now, because his mom's definitely not getting anything, and his kids won't get anything until they're 21. So right now it's not helping any of them to put anything out or to do anything.
Yeah, so it just got crazy.
So the mob can't get anything?
No,
Why is that?
she just, because it's only for the kids.
Oh, the estate.
Right.
Okay.
Well, it wasn't said. That's just what it is legally, I guess. How? Yeah.
Right. And they can't get into 21.
No.
So would they be okay when they 21?
I don't know. I mean, you gotta understand, nothing really came out. Like what album or what big, as you know, he didn't go. He was national to a certain extent because people knew of him, but if he would if you went to Wisconsin or I don't think he was. Oh, where you?
That's where I'm from.
Was he buzzing in Wisconsin?
Well, I didn't know then.
See, he only had a few mixtapes out. He's no
Right,
official album.
right.
There's never official album.
Right.
He never got to that point.
The album never came out. So his most streamed song I want to think is Kimosabi. It's like 15 million, and that's under different artists. But I believe they could collect on it somehow if
Right. So there's a lot of issues with that, and then.
So I mean,
and then I don't mean to cut you off, but the reason why it goes in and out, because you gotta understand, we put a lot of time and effort into this, and we lost because of it. And when things get too heated, I think we even tend to be like, okay, let's just back away, and just because we're doing it strictly just for Doe, to do the right thing,
right,
to get his stuff out there. So it's not like we're doing it for anything,
right?
Because
there seems to be a huge misconception that I don't want to say you hid or you took, or like basically there's this expectation that a lot of money should have went to Doe's mom. That never happened. And
I don't know where that would come from.
I
guess I didn't receive it.
Right.
I don't know. I mean, I would think, I think somebody who is in position if I had millions, would I have given? Of course.
Right.
I would have bought his mama a house.
Right.
And a car if I had millions.
Right.
But I, to this day though, I do still help his mom out. She hits me up when she needs something, but nobody got, it was just left. Doe was taking care of his mom, his kids, helping his sister with it. He was taking care of a lot of people. He was the one taking care of them, and when they left, nobody took their place.
Yeah. So it's a documentary that we working on, correct, Bao? Are we
It's
doing
all talk right now.
It's all talk.
You know, I mean, we gotta get past that thing first.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because it starts here, to be honest. Like,
Yeah.
you can't move forward
Yeah.
until, you know, until this works out. And the thing is, the ship has passed, the boat has sailed. Only thing that we could really do is just try to post everything up on streaming services and, you know, have that revenue for the kids later.
I think the documentary is necessary.
Yeah,
I can definitely see it on Netflix right now. You know.
Yeah.
So, to me, it seems like there was a lot of misunderstandings between y'all two. Some of it may not be so much of a misunderstanding. But what do you think? Is it anything that you wanna say to Frank? You know, anything that you feel like, hey man, I rock with you, or I don't rock with you. I felt this way because of this. You know, and we are we past this? Are we not past this? We did. This is what we got to talk about before we go forward.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I never had anything against Frank. You feel what I'm saying? Like, never did. It's just like, it was like say one thing, do another type of thing. But I had to understand at this point in time right now, by looking back in hindsight, that Frank was going through some things. You feel what I'm saying? That was a little out of his control. And I had to give grace to that. You feel what I'm saying? So I ain't got nothing, you know what I'm saying? And Frank, we patched it up like Monday.
Okay.
Like a week ago Monday.
Yeah.
Without talking since, when was that?
Couple
2016?
years. Couple years. Yeah. Couple years.
Yeah, so and then Tamara was on the phone. Tamara just, I didn't want to talk to Frank on the phone.
Yeah.
I was like, man, look,
Mara was begging though.
I don't want to talk. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And then Frank got on the phone. We got into a little spat again like we did with Dariana. You know what I'm saying?
Over what though?
Same stuff. Like, you know, this is how it's supposed to go on. This was my intention from the jump. This is what I wanted. And, you know, it went left. You see what I'm saying?
So that, in that conversation, was it satisfying?
Yeah, to a point. You feel what I'm saying? Like, you know, at the end of the day, you know, I believe it when I see it on paper. You know what I'm saying? And that's it. As far as like certain things happening to ensure that, you know, the everything goes right. You feel what I'm saying? And then, you know, there's a lot of other opportunities that we missed that we could still make happen.
Yes.
But whoever wants to get what, I don't care. Like, I know for me personally, like, I can't speak for Carlton right now. He might feel the same way or not, but I still want to donate my portion, you feel what I'm saying, of the reproduction and all this stuff, you feel what I'm saying, remixing, reproduce, you know what I'm saying. I'm not asking for anything for that.
Yeah.
Because you know, that would be just something I feel like that needs to be done. You know what I'm saying? Maybe something later on in other things where, you know, it requires more work, like documentary stuff or whatever. But as far as this thing, initially, man, just get it going. X me out, let the state have it, go to kids, that be whatever. It's not even a gift, it's just, I feel like an obligation.
Yes, sir. So, what he just said, do you take any issue with anything, or are you with it, you on board, you just want to let it go in the past, you done with this? How you feel, Frank?
Man, I don't think even if I wanted to that I could ever be done with trying, at least, no matter if we were, you know, 20 years from now. But I do want to apologize to Bao for the things I said at the time. And he's right. Like I told you when we were coming in here, at the same time, you know, I had a couple personal things. I went through a divorce, and this all happened around the same time. Then I had another child at the same time, and me, I would have bet everything on my back, everything that I owned, that, you know, this was about to be how we were gonna live the rest of our lives, you know, well, or a good part of it anyway.
Yeah.
So when it took away, you know, a lot of people can't handle things mentally the same as other people do, and I'm one of them people who it just mentally, you know, took me out for a minute and down, just because of how much it meant to me. But me and Bao never had no problem. I'd love to do. Yeah, I'm on board for anything, whatever we can
Me
do.
too, man.
You know, it's just
Me too, man.
it's definitely time.
Because,
Time, man.
you know,
Beautiful.
that was like a,
Tandem.
you know, from the outside looking in,
Mhm.
from what I've gathered, that seemed like that was a well-oiled machine that just got blown up.
Definitely.
It was definitely everything was run. It was man.
It moved too quick, actually.
It was. It didn't skip a beat, and with Doe being who he was, I mean, it just everything ran perfect, and yeah, but that was the engine that it took the engine out of the car when that happened.
So before we get out of here, if there was anything that you could do or y'all could do together for Doe B's legacy, what would it be? Would it be the documentary? Would it be something else?
It would have to be that album, whatever.
I would think definitely an album is needed, and a documentary I think is needed. I think a movie could be done. I'd like to get a street named after Doe here in Ridgecrest if we could.
That's a great idea.
Right, even if it's Glenn Thomas or Doe,
What we gotta do?
whatever.
We gotta get a petition signed.
Probably some city. I know some folks on city council. I asked, but just something that can remain even when we're gone
Right.
to keep it.
That would be dope.
Definitely.
That would be real dope, man. Listen, Frank White, Bao. This has been a pleasure.
Frosty.
Man. This has been a pleasure.
Making history in the gump.
Man.
Making history in the gump.
I'm just trying to get like y'all, man. Y'all made history together, man. Whatever it takes. That's all I can suggest to y'all, right? Whatever it takes. Whatever needs to get done, whatever it takes, because this was so important to the city, man. Y'all when I got here, I could feel it.
Right.
That Doe B's passing was like letting the air out of a bag.
Exactly. That's how I felt. It just
I don't think the city ever recovered, to be honest.
Right,
They
they didn't.
No, definitely.
Nobody did. You
Yeah.
got to move forward as much as possible. But like,
Right.
like I said, it starts with me and Frank. We gotta move forward, man.
Yeah,
That's right.
There's so many different.
It's only me and you, him and Ed to make it happen, really.
Yeah.
And Carlton.
And Carlton, yeah. We shout out to Big Hulk too.
Right.
He was there, did a very important role.
So Frank, is there anything you would like, to say to the city?
I mean, to the city, I love Montgomery. I always will. I would like to, I really believe that me and Bao could possibly, do something again with, if it's not, with different artists.
We're gonna find us an artist.
If he would be interested in it, but even if not, I'm always looking. I always would try. Still have the same avenues. It's just now you want to focus what you put your energy into, because you don't want to do it, for nothing and not, waste time. So it's just different, But
Yeah, I'm open. You know what I'm saying? Just let's work through this and move forward. It's the only thing, man. Take steps, man. I don't want to take no leaps and bounds. Just take steps, move at a nice pace, get this out, move forward.
So back to the T.I. thing. Tell us what happened. What happened, Frank?
That's on you.
yeah, I mean, it's really, I think, deeper than what happened. So it's kind of hard to really explain it. But after Doe passed, me and Tip were still talking, and he offered, his artists he had, like, who would you want to work with? Anybody, Shad, whoever he had, and I listened to him. He told me about his son. Listened to him, I was like, oh, I think he's got potential. He was 13 at the time. So fast forward, I managed him for 3 years until he was 16. And we were at a video shoot, and I got an old school car from Greg Street. Okay. For the shoot. But his friend pulled up in a different kind of car, it was an old school, but it was like a 1950s like Al Capone type looking, and Monty wanted like a a Caprice or one of them old school Don't
Right.
whatever.
Yeah.
So anyway, that right there, Damani kind of took it upon himself to say, I don't think you taking this as serious as I am after, I was there for 3 years and did all the stuff for him, and he kind of said something like, I think cut your percentage, which I just started was going to get a percentage to get paid from doing stuff with him. And really found out what it was, though, I believe is his dad, that the stuff that was going on about the Doe stuff, all the smoking stuff people talk to, I think he just didn't want that around at the time. And but that's not what I was told at first, which me and Tip, we've known each other out in his house, everything. He could have said something to me. I always felt like, to the side and say, what's going on with this? Why is this? But I felt like he was just trying to find a way to get me out of the picture without saying anything. So I did what I learned not to do, which is, went to social media. Yeah.
Right. Relax.
Yeah. But we went back and forth a couple things on there, and since people have got involved right away and squashed it and everything. So
Y'all good now?
I haven't spoke to
Okay,
him,
okay.
but
Okay.
everything's good though.
That's what's up, man.
And Damani's still doing good, man. He's gonna be the next J. Cole.
Okay.
I've always said that.
That's what's up.
Yeah,
That's what's
definitely.
up. All right, and about anything you wanna any shouts and things.
I mean, just move forward, man. Get this going. Like I said, the boat has sailed. The ship has passed. Only thing we do is just move forward, get this out the way, get this like monkey off our backs, off of Montgomery in general.
However, I will say this, although we completely missed the boat as far as time to put it out, but the music still even today sounds as good as the stuff that's out, that's out now. I mean, even some of the the newer stuff. So
When I got here and me going to the clubs, I needed to hear what the DJs was playing because they was playing a lot of local music.
right.
And I was hearing the Doe B records and it was going up, and also I had to go back and like listen to a lot of Doe B records I never heard before.
Right.
So as I'm listening, I'm like, oh my God, this guy is really the down south biggie. This guy is amazing. He is amazing. He's I'm like, oh, he would have killed the game.
Exactly.
He would have killed the game.
Exactly.
So, shouts to Doe B, man. That was a special talent. Special talent.
Long live though.
Long live Doe B, man. It's Hot 105.7.